Ah, that's true. I didn't well. You've not seen him in a while.
What's happening? What's wrong with the YouTube?
Heating. It's cold.
The YouTube.
The connection is slow. So most of our things. Okay, but I can see today now. Scheduled. What's going on? I can see their picture for today. All right, studio is live. Studio silence. We're here for you. We're here for Niger. It's the Locker Room 981 here on Smooth 98.1, part of Smooth Breakfast with Ayomai Rese.
And with Valentine Uhu.
And it's brought to you by Nine Mobile. And in the studio with us, we have the one, the only, Tega Supreme.
That's Tega, not Jaife.
At Tega Supreme on Twitter.
Where's the drum roll?
And
Thank
the
you.
man behind the drums is the one, the only Brutalistic.
I don't know how to drum that. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Uncle Bubu.
Oh, wow. All right. So this is how you can be a part of the conversation this morning.
Yes, please send us messages through WhatsApp 0809-444-0981. That is our number for messages 0809-444-0981. We're streaming live on YouTube. You can subscribe. Please subscribe and chat with us as well as the show progresses. You can send messages through Twitter. The Twitter handle is at Smooth981FM. The hashtag is LockerRoom981.
All right, let's go into our very first story for this morning. Are you ready for this one?
Yep.
Because it is shaking a lot of Arsenal fans. So Everton completes signing of Iwobi from Arsenal. Right, so we have here that Everton have signed Nigerian midfielder. He's not British Nigerian midfielder.
No, he's Nigerian midfielder.
Yeah, he plays for the Nigerian team.
No. He moved from Lagos to the UK. So people imagine that he was all those I've been to, or I miswrote.
But his grandma is British.
Okay, he's Nigerian.
All right, okay. So Alex Iwobi from Arsenal to a 5-year deal. The Merseyside club announced this yesterday, and Everton manager Marco Silva said, Alex was one of our main targets for this window, and I believe he's a fantastic signing for Everton. He's a direct and skillful winger, an attacking midfielder who always works very hard for his team. He's still young, but already with a lot of top-level experience, 100 Premier League matches, more in Europe, and many international games.
Okay, so first of all, I don't believe Marco Silva when he says that he was their main target. Up until the end of that transfer window, they were still trying to sign Wilfred Zaha. So it was when it became clear that that wasn't going to work. They went back with an improved offer for Alex Iwobi. It took. I mean, even I was taken aback by this, because when they came with the first offer, I think it was about 30 million. It was knocked back almost immediately. And having seen how integral to me, I mean, how important or how much Emery seemed to like him, it came as a bit of a surprise that decision was taken.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what side of the argument you face, some people think that he didn't show the kind of he didn't display consistently the kind of performance he needed at that level as a top club at Arsenal. And then for some people, they say, look, he wasn't given time to develop into and show the potential that he is made of. There's a bit of both in that sort of thing. Perhaps this move to Everton affords him the opportunity and time to develop or show the potential that he has. I think the only thing that worries me about this is the fact that Marco Silva has described him as a winger. Alex Iwobi, when you speak to him, any interviews, he says he prefers to play through the middle. I think in the midfield area, Everton is adequately covered. And anyone who followed the Cup of Nations will also tell you that playing through the middle, he probably didn't put in a performance that will give you the confidence to put him through there. So he's still on some sort of journey to find what works for him. And let's hope that it's successful for him. Arsenal fans, the Nigerians, are a bit disappointed.
Yes.
Very disappointed. Even within the larger Arsenal community, following trends on Twitter, I noticed a lot of people were surprised by it, but for the amount of money they got for him, everyone is like, wow, this is a good deal for both sides. And more importantly for Arsenal, it also shows a problem. He was probably not a player that they wanted to offload. There are a lot of other players that they would have liked to get rid of, but they couldn't, probably because of the wages and all of that stuff that they're on. It made it difficult for them to shift. Alex Iwobi fits into that category where his fee, you could push it because it was easier to negotiate a wage package that's not unreasonable. And that's probably how he's ended up this. So all in all, good business for Arsenal all around, players in and getting some money for this player going out. It's an opportunity for him to play perhaps with less pressure at a club that has ambitions to break into the top 6. So he's still there. And
downgrade. I don't grill. FA Cup, Carling Cup. No, there's no Carling Cup again. What's it called now? Carabao Cup. I don't care what amount of playing time. Let me tell you why it is a downgrade to me every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It is Everton we are talking about here. And yes, they've had those seasons where they came out and they made it into, no, let's say those seasons, that season when they came out and made it into top 4. And they've also had matches where they come out and beat big teams. But Everton is literally just Everton. There's no growth. There's no multiplier effect. He's just simply going to be a starter in a team that is going nowhere with no ambitions, doing nothing. He's not going to do well for Nigeria. He's not going to do any better for Nigeria. And I'm talking as a Nigerian, and this concerns me as a Nigerian because Iwobi doesn't pay his tithes to me and he's not my family member. As a Nigerian, it's not going to help my national team. So I don't understand why I should be excited about it.
Okay, so this is it. This for me, it's this. Sometimes you have to take a step back to be able to rise to the top.
It's not rising.
Now, for Everton, they have a new owner.
I actually agree with the statistics on this one.
He cannot rise in Everton.
No, you know what? You know
it's not for us to say. It's not for us to say. Let the season play out and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, let me put this. Let me put how Iwobi is. Iwobi is you know how Iwobi can do. He can do big boy. I'm a big boy player. You know how he comes out. He has that attitude. Then you now put this big fish in a small pond of Everton. He's not going to grow anywhere. Growth zero.
Okay, you know I'm saying that. Okay,
He's going to take 4 steps backwards.
Look at what happened with JJ Okocha and Bolton Wanderers.
No, I mean Bolton Wanderers in England. That was an upgrade for JJ from where he was coming from in England.
From Arsenal, I mean, if you're going to leave Arsenal, you want to go to places like Manchester United.
You want to go to places like Man City.
I'm saying this to annoy the Man U fans.
I always find it interesting when football fanatics argue like this.
Who's a fanatic? What do you mean?
Because at the end of the day, this guy has pocketed it.
No,
but you see, even Alex Iwobi was not even. He didn't look happy. He didn't want to move. And he didn't think he was. Let me tell you, if I were him, I'll just tell Elneny, give me the code you use, because they wanted to offload Elneny with desperation last season. The guy dug his heels.
Even this transfer season, window, they tried to get rid of him.
But so someone is saying that, and that's on my husband who is an Arsenal fanatic, that perhaps it was also for the money. Maybe because of the fact that there comes a time you have to understand that he's been playing with Arsenal since he was 6, or about 6 years old. Because he's been with Arsenal for that long, and now he's been there. He's not really been appreciated as a star player, to be honest. But he's going to Everton. He's going to be a big fish. He'll earn more money
in a small pond.
No. That's where I disagree. Unai Emery probably gave him more game time than under Arsene Wenger, who brought him on board. I would also go a step further by arguing that I think that Unai Emery genuinely liked this guy.
Yeah.
So the decision to sell him was not, I believe, it's not a footballing decision.
It's
it was
more
a more commercial and economic thing.
Yes.
This
from the
financial fair play rules and all of that. So it took everybody completely
it was
by
just
shock.
A few hours or an hour or a few minutes to close of the window transfer, the transfer
absolutely.
window.
Anything can happen until the last minute. Now, Quadri Adregba says, I really wanted to vent about Lewis because he left it late, but then I remembered that Arsenal is where Chelsea players go to retire, and Chelsea is where Arsenal players come to win trophies. Quadri says, am I the only one who thinks Everton were the true winners in this transfer window?
Yeah.
Yes,
Emeka says, as an Arsenal fan, in as much as it pained me, he will be left Arsenal. I support this move 100%. The abuse he was getting from some Arsenal fans is enough to demoralize anybody.
That's another.
Fair
That's
point,
another
fair
aspect.
point.
But those Arsenal fans were Nigerians, probably.
So,
No,
No,
even the others.
He faced a lot of racial discrimination in
yeah.
Arsenal.
Okay, but me, I was part of the people that abused him when he didn't play well because he's Nigerian.
Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal have been elected to the ATP Player Council following a turbulent year in the politics of the men's sport. The pair, along with Jürgen Melzer, are elected after Jamie Murray, Robin Haase, and Sergei Stavovsky resigned in June. Federer, Nadal, and the Austrian doubles player Melzer, who's 38 years old, will begin their roles immediately and serve until the end of the existing term, which runs to next year's Wimbledon. The Player Council, which is made up of 12 men across singles, doubles, and coaching, will next meet in New York before the US Open.
Okay, so here is the thing. Remember that time that they removed ATP's president and the Player Council were in charge of it, Novak Djokovic being the head, and Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal did not like it. Well, now they are on the Players Council. Shockingly, some people resigned. Jamie Murray, I think Robbie Haas, and the rest. But the fact that Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal chose now to join the politics in tennis. No, they have always been part of the politics, being that they have Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal. So some things will go, some things will just pass through them. Yep. But the fact that they've actively sat on this and their tenure starts immediately, that they've actively sat on this thing, means that maybe they want to start deciding a little bit more what is going on. And they had been on opposing ends with Novak Djokovic, who is the president of the Players Council. So I want to see how this will play out in the end, with who stays and who goes when it comes to the decisions with ATP. So it's going to, apart from the battle on the battles on the court, we can now see the battles in the political battles off court and in the boardrooms. Let's see how this one comes out to play in real life. But it's interesting that for once in their lives, these people just said, you know what, we're going to take political position and exercise some political muscle, just so that we get the people who want to stay. So interesting read, and I don't know how this is going to play out, like I said, with them on court, but it doesn't look like it's going to make it any easier because, as I said, Novak Djokovic is on one side and Rafa and Federer
on the other side. Can we quickly touch on the Rogers Cup? Serena Williams beat Elise Mertens in straight sets.
Yes, we can do that. Okay, so the women are in Toronto, and of course the men are in Montreal. The women, apart from Ashley Barty, who has had a strange or turbulent season since she became world number one. Like I said, once you become world number one, there's that target on your back and everybody wants to gun you down. She lost her first match, she's out. Serena, Simona Halep, Naomi Osaka, they've all played and they've all made it through to the next round. I think Serena again plays today. Let's see if she'll be able to hold up and meet and win a next match. But after the interesting part is that she's looking forward to try and meet Simona Halep again, who beat her in 59 minutes.
Yeah.
She's thinking that this will be the revenge, no?
Yeah.
Why multiple learners?
We're back. Studio is live. Mic's up. It's your love music, love life station, Smooth 98.1, and right now
I've let an unprofessional Romelu Lukaku leave because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to instill a new culture at Old Trafford, and that's what Gary Neville said, not me. He continues though. He says, "My view on Romelu Lukaku is that if Manchester United are trying to set a new tone and culture through the club, which Ole is trying to do, any lack of professionalism has got to be stamped upon. He didn't want to be here anyway. I think he's score a lot of goals and do well at Inter Milan. That's what Neville said."
Okay, so I would say this. I think it's very at this point in time, every single player is unprofessional. Remember how David Luiz is just upset with Frank Lampard and he says, "You know what? I'm going to the other club in London." It's not like I wouldn't say that when he came to London, said that's the best club I want to belong to. No, he just wanted a move away from Lampard. And that quarrel with Lampard did not start today. It started from when they were players to what now that Lampard is a coach. And so they can't work together. And again, when you players, it's hard for you to even play for them, especially when things come up. So Lampard and David Luiz were always yeah, it out, and they say, I'm not coming to train, I'm not doing this. Questioning to Arsenal, they said, okay, it's time for you to go. He left. But I think this thing against Lukaku has been horrible. From the minute they bought him, they started complaining about his first touch. First touch, first touch, first touch. He's not intelligent, he's just physical. This, that, almost bordering on racial abuse from them. And then the player now stays and now say, oh, he's not good enough. Rashford is better. And then he has suffered through that and says, okay, people don't want me. Can I move? Then they refuse to let him move. Then he says, okay, I'm going to force this move. And now ex-players are calling him a professional. I want to say this. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to set a tone, how come he can't set the tone with Pogba? The nerve of you to say you're setting a tone, and the likes of Martial, who have no poor work ethic, bad attitude to make matters worse, are still in the club. Which tone is he setting?
Tell them.
The ridiculousness of this statement is too much. I mean, for sometimes I just think, I mean, as great as Gary Neville was as a player, he was a horrible brother, if you ask me. But he was a good player, and he was a good footballer, and maybe he's a good pundit sometimes. But coach. Yeah, but sometimes he be a pathetic coach too. Sometimes coach. I think he needs to dial it down a notch. Football has changed from when they used to play, and life has changed from when they used to play. I told people, when it was my time, being successful was going to school, graduating, getting a great job. Now it may mean dropping out of school and having one tech startup, or having one hit in the music industry, and you're gone. So things are changing. I'm not saying that you should lose your value, discipline, or your morale, but the way they've picked on this player so much. I mean, even now that he's left them, they're still abusing him. What more can the boy do? He has run to Italy, and you are chasing him with your tongue flashing.
Like you said, in my opinion, it just borders on hypocrisy, because you have Pogba, who has probably the worst attitude in terms of, we know how things were with Mourinho when he was there, and nobody talked about him in this manner. It turned to Mourinho's fault. He's not a good man manager, and this and all of that stuff. You had Martial, who had his problems and hasn't really come to the party, and yet this guy gave all he could. He did the best he could. He scored the goals when he was on the field. Yes, he had dry spells. Every striker goes through that, but you don't run somebody into the ground simply because he stopped scoring.
All right, thank you very much.
Chukwudi jumps on Twitter to say, with a hashtag, by the way, hashtag is LockerRoom91. He said, I think the theme song for today's Locker Room should be Cut It by OT Genesis. Feel Good Friday. Got it.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to our next story. Jurgen Klopp wants his team to stay angry and greedy. Liverpool manager Klopp wants his team to stay angry and greedy as they prepare for another Premier League title challenge. They begin this season at home to newly promoted Norwich City on Friday. And Klopp said, oh, that's the day. What's very important is the team nobody wants to play against. Not because of the name of the quality, but the intensity. We have to be angry again. We have to be greedy again. We have to be all these things. That's what set up. Incidentally, these are the two teams that probably spent the least money in this transfer window. I think Norwich spent just about 1 point something million, and then when you look at the investment that Liverpool had, their quietest transfer window. That said, it will offer an opportunity for us to see, like Klopp said, how much intensity, whether they're still able to play in the same way, and whether teams have found them out or found a solution to how they play. There's something he said during his conference that he has a lot of players within his team that have a lot to prove, beyond the regular guys who want to prove that last season being a point behind Manchester City hurt them a lot. You have the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back from injury. There's Ryan Brewster, Xherdan Shaqiri, Divock Origi are all going to be pushing to make sure that you don't have the three amigos who have been in the front three for Liverpool game in, game out to try and prove their point. That said, also Norwich City played a brand of football that got them results in the Championship and got them into the promotions, candidates for automatic relegation, and their coach
FARC admits to that they know that, but they're going to play football on the front foot. Now, he admits to that being naive, and I agree with him, because you shouldn't come to the Premier League thinking that the way you played in championship will necessarily work for you. It would have been smart to make some defensive adjustments to your shape, but let's see how the game goes. It should be an interesting game, and we'll see how that plays out. They've played a lot of entertaining games. I mean, there's one that ended 5-4. That was quite a pulse racing game. So if we have anything like that this game, then it promises that this Premier
how do you do this kind of, it was everywhere, and then when he came to play, the fans are not polite people.
Of course they're not.
Do you understand? So it adds to the performance. So you can imagine what, I don't want to imagine what the Crystal Palace fans will be doing to Wilfred Zaha every time he comes on the ball.
At least he was at the training ground. He just didn't train. He didn't enter motor and go to anywhere.
So let's see. He was so upset with it that he was so pushing for his move so much that he decided not to join the training. Yeah. He went to train in the gym alone. So you can imagine how do you want to go and face those teammates that you were snubbing? Like, I'm going to the upper side of London. Yeah, this is going to be bad.
Okay, so let's take some comments and reactions. We have Numbers and Maguire to the 8th wonder of the world to make it 90 goal.
Uche from Ikeja says, as an Arsenal fan, I'm extremely elated by the Obi deal. £40 million for him. Wow.
Yeah, people are excited about the.
Wenger did this to us, and on doing it will ruffle some feathers. We should move on from him. Unai is trying to take us back to where we belong, the top. He gave these lads one season to prove themselves, and Ozil is still here because of the evil Wenger and Ivan left behind. Playing Ozil is stupid. 350 million per week, and no one is willing to pay that to a player who offers little or nothing for the attack.
And Charles Chidozie says, if there's any team that's guaranteed to surge players forward, then it's Everton. Rooney moved to Everton from United, or from Everton to United. Lukaku left Chelsea to Everton. After 2 seasons, he made the biggest move of his career.
All praying for my brother.
I will be here.
Big Ifo says, why did Arsenal sell that golden boy? He's an upcoming Messi. He has been in Arsenal since he was a child. Then for sell Ozil or use him for Salah, he might go to Everton and they will bench him forever. No, I don't think so. They didn't pay that much money to bench him.
Chimobi says, Manchester United are busy buying defenders and forgotten that their attacking force. I really pity them for this season because they only have Rashford and Anthony Martial up front. What if they get injured?
No, they have Lingard.
They will not score. They will not concede goal now, so they don't need to score. So it's draw. I don't know why people are like this. You have to calculate this thing well.
Calculation.
Brutalistics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and Tega. Thank you so much. You can find Brutalistics at Brutalistics on Twitter, and Tega at Tega Supreme, and at LIS International for our work with ladies in sports on Twitter. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM on Twitter. Use the hashtag LockerRoom981, and stay tuned at 9 o'clock. We are going to have something interesting, something hopefully that will take you, make you think and reminisce on Lagos Talks 91 for a Feel Good Friday special. Stay tuned.
We talk. That's good.
Oh, good.